part by itself because the general form for this is y squared equals 4px. So we need to figure out what the p is for the focus. So I need to divide by 1/2.
And then you just multiply it.
1/2, which is multiplying by 2. So I have 2x equals y squared. So this 2 is equal to 4p. So then we divide by 4. So I have p is equal to 2/4 or 1/2.
So isn't that the focus? Is 1/2 0?
Yeah.
So that's what I meant when I think that answer was already.
Oh, I thought you meant, was it already written in standard form?
No.
It is not written in standard form. But I feel like I'm missing something.
Putting it back in the
Must
way
not be.
it was.
Okay, so yeah, so we'll just write it in standard form now. So I have y equals 4 times 1/2 x. So y squared, so it's y squared, which means it's opening this way. So my point is 1/2 0. So my focus would be 1/2, 0. And here's the sketch of the graph. Yay for parabolas, for parabolas. Today we're leaving them and going on to ellipses, which is, if you remember from that fun video, it's like the oval shape. So go ahead and grab notes. Even if you're not a note taker, I'm going to tell you it's important to do these ellipses, to have all this stuff written down. You're just all about breaking the rules today.
Why?
Did you wake up this morning and say, I'm going to see how many rules I can break in one class?
I did. I really did.
Good. I'm glad you have goals. Okay, here's what I want you to write down with a big star next to it, because I'm going to, like I said, this is not something, I haven't taught this in a couple of years, so when I went back and did your homework, I picked out what was important in the notes that I kept referring back to. So you guys, what I tell you is important was important to me. So big star, I want you to write A is greater than B, always. So when we get to hyperbolas, this is not the case. It's different, but for ellipses, the bigger number is always A, okay? And also, it also tells you the major axis. And I'll explain that once in just a minute. Write this down, Ian. Write this down. Focus. Wake up. Do some jumping jacks. Important today. So I'm going to give you two different general equations. One equation, the ellipse is going to go like this. The other equation, the ellipse is going to go like this. When it's side to side, the major axis is your x-axis. When it's up and down, the major axis is the y-axis. So I'm going to show you each one of those, and I want you to write these down because this is what you're going to use to write the equation. So the first one is x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared equals 1. A is always the biggest one, and since the bigger number, or the A, is under the x squared, that means my major axis is the x-axis. So this ellipse goes left and right. So we're going to call these the major vertices, and those are going to be negative A, 0, and A, 0. So this is the major axis. This is the minor axis, meaning it's smaller. So this and this could be your minor vertices, and it's going to be 0, B, 0, negative B. So here's what an ellipse looks like. It's the oval shape, and you're going to have to pick out, when you're graphing them, you're going to have to pick out what the major vertices are, and that's using your A term, and what your minor vertices are, and that's using your B term.
So is this test coming really long?
Huh?
This test coming really long?
It's longer than it is tall. Is that what you mean?
No.
Okay.
Test.
Wait.
She said
Oh, the
it's a
test. I thought you said, so when you sketch this, is this really long? I didn't know what you're talking. No, I think there's only like 9 problems because there's only three concepts.
3 of each.
Well, no, well, probably. But there's parabola, ellipses, and then hyperbola. And I'm going to give you guys a notes page that you can fill in notes, not examples, just notes, stuff like this. So you have this as a resource.
I'm already struggling.
Okay, here's the second one. So I said A is always the bigger number. This time we're going to make this ellipse go up and down. So that equation looks like this. X squared over B squared plus Y squared over A squared equals 1. So since the bigger number, since A is always bigger than B, since the bigger number is under the y-axis, this tells you that the y is your major axis. So in this case, you're going to have the point 0a and the point 0, negative a, going up and down. And then the minor axis is the x-axis, so I have b0 and negative b0.
So is this test like us just like drawing pictures?
We're writing
You just have to
equations,
remember, like,
writing equations, and some of them are sketching. Like I'm going to give you
so we just have to
information.
remember like what each of these things.
Mhm. That's why I'm going to give you a notes page too. Well, one that you can fill in. But the big thing about ellipses is knowing where the bigger number is tells you which axis is the major axis. Okay? Now I have 2 more things I haven't put in here, and those are the foci. So when we did our parabola, we had a focus. We had one focus. This has 2 points that we call the foci, and they're on the major axis in the equation. And this we use the points negative C0 and C0. And on this bottom one, it would be 0C and 0, negative C. Those are your focus points, or they call them foci. And I'm going to put another big star. I'm going to show you the relationship between A, B, and C, because sometimes they'll just give you like an A and a C, and you have to find what B is. So put a big star on your paper. I've referred back to this equation plenty times. The relationship for an ellipse with the A, B, and the C is C squared equals A squared minus B squared. So if you know 2 of them, if you know like an A and a C, you can find the B. Or if you know an A and a B, you can find the C. Or if you know a B and a C, you can find the A. It's kind of very close to that, kind of. But it's minus. Okay? So put a big star by this because you're going to refer back to this.
And what's that for?
This is just the relationship between the A, the B, and the C. The C is your focus or your foci points. So, like on this first example, I think, yeah, so in this first example, I'm not going to give you the B value. So you're going to have to use this to find the B value. I'm going to give you the A and the C. So, first example of the day. Have your notes in front of you. It'll help you. You are going to write an equation, the standard form of an ellipse. Here's the information I'm going to give you. The major axis has a length of 6. So the whole axis is a length of 6. Okay, from one vertex to the other vertex. And the foci is the point negative 2, 0 and 2, 0. So just to get a kind of a picture, I'm going to plot the foci so I can see visually which one is the major axis. So if I have the point 2, 0, and I have the point negative 2, 0, these would be your foci for this problem, which means which axis is your major axis? Yep, the x. Okay? Because your foci is always on the major axis. Now I'm telling you that the major axis of our ellipse has a length of 6. So what does that mean each half is? 3. So that means that my vertices are going to be at the point 3, 0 and negative 3, 0, because this whole length here would be 6. So that means that my a squared is going underneath the x squared or the y squared? Under x. Why is the a squared going under x?
Major axis.
Because that's the major axis, okay? So my a value here is 3, so what am I going to write underneath the x squared? Not 3. Look at your equation. Not 6. Getting closer.
Wait, 3 times 2, 9.
9. Because x squared over a squared. So the a value here is 3. So underneath the x squared, I'm going to have 3 squared or 9. To write my equation in standard form, I'm missing one value. What is it? B. I know the A, I know the C, I don't know the B. So what I'm going to do is use that equation that I just told you to put a big star next to, which is C squared equals A squared minus B squared, and I'm going to solve for B. Okay, so what is C in this problem? 2. So what's C squared? 4. A, we already said, was 3. So that means A squared is 9. And I don't know my B squared yet. Or my B, that's what I'm looking for. So I can write it into my equation and be done.
So do you add the b's?
So I'm going to subtract the 9 over. So I have negative 5 equals negative b squared. And then divide by negative 1. So my b squared is equal to 5. And that's what I need in my equation, is what b squared is, because it's y squared over b squared. So what am I going to, no, not over 25, because b squared is 5. So that means b is the square root of 5, but I really just want the b squared value, because that's what's in my equation, because it's x squared over a squared, y squared over b squared. B squared is 5, so that's what you write here. And that is your equation in standard form.
This is way easier than the last one.
You think?
What? The last one, all you had to do was look.
What?
There was no work whatsoever.
What?
Crazy work.
What? That's
I think
fake
this
news.
is easier.
I think, I don't know which one's easier, because once we throw ellipses, then this plus becomes a minus, the x's and y's switch places, so, or not ellipses, hyperbolas. So maybe, let's just hang tight. Let's make an assessment at the end. How's that? But I am glad that you're getting it. I'm glad for that. Okay, one more example, and then I'm going to let you guys go. This one's going to be a little bit different. This time we're going to sketch in standard form, and we're going to graph. Let's just do it all, shall we? So we're going to, actually it just says sketch the graph. But the first thing you need to do is write in standard form. So I'm going to give you something that looks like this. And I do know there's one like this on your test, because I remember that. I've got great rememberers. Okay, let's talk about how this looks different than our standard form. And here was our standard form. We had two different standard forms. We have a squared and we have b squared, or we have b squared and we have a squared.
And what determines that? Just the
A is always biggest. So you want your bigger number, wherever your bigger number is, that's the major axis. Okay, so I don't know.
It's under. the
Right.
X.
Right, for ellipses. Okay, now, I spy something different with this and these.
Because it's not equals 1. it's equal
Okay,
to-
that's a good first I spy. I spy that it's not equal to 1. That's the first step you want to do is try to make it equal to 1. So, some ways to make 36 1. Subtract 35, right? But we don't want to do that because that doesn't do anything for us. What's another way to make 36 equal to 1? Raise it to the
Divide
0
by
power.
36.
Okay, divide it by 36. But remember, what you do on one side, you have to do on the other side. So I'm going to take and divide each one of these by 36. Because my goal is to make this right side equal to 1. So 36 divided by 36 is 1. Lovely. Y squared divided by 36 is just y squared over 36. And how does this simplify? 4 over 36. X squared over what? 9. Yes. This is it. Hello. No. Mm-mm. Okay, thanks. Bye.
This is hello.
Hello. I know. I said yes to you, and she thought I was saying yes on the phone. So I was not nice. Okay, so this becomes x squared over 9 because 4 over 36 reduces to 1/9. Okay, so now my question is, what is my major axis now that we have this in standard form?
The
X or Y?
Y.
The Y, because you've got the bigger number underneath here. These are also a squared and b squared. So what does a equal? And what does b equal?
B equals 36. Or,
No?
B equals 9.
No.
And what?
Look at your equation. Here. I'm asking what b
B
is.
squared, so it would be not 81.
No.
3.
3. Yes, go the other way. This here is b squared. So that means b equals 3. 36 is a squared, which means a equals
6.
6. You need this information to be able to sketch your graph for a and for b. Okay? You just told me that y is the major axis. So I'm going to use this right here and plot my major vertices. I'm going to go up and down 6. So I have 0, 6 and 0, -6. And then how much am I going out on the x? 3. So I've got 3, 0, -3, 0, and here is my ellipse.
Do you have to find the C's now?
Well, I didn't on here.
That's what we do.
But if we needed to find them, we could use our equation that we just use c squared equals a squared minus b squared to find the
Mine
c.
looks more like a hexagon or whatever that shape is.
Mine is
That's
a
like
really
meh, meh.
like rounded
Oh,
square.
like a diamond?
Yeah, mine's more like a diamond.
That's all right. That's all right. Okay, you guys ready to try this?
Yes.
Okay. Yesterday, or what was your assignment before Friday?
11 through 24 on page 367.
Through 24. Okay. So this one is, I think, 35. Let me look. Same page, 367. (35 to 36) and then 42 to 45. So again, I want you working on both of the assignments. Your quest on this is on Friday. 35, 36, 42 to 45. Check your work with mine. We're going to take time at the end of class tomorrow after we get done with hyperbolas. We're going to have just a little mini assignment, and then we're going to check over all of it. But today, your focus is on the parabolas and the ellipses. And I'll open up my book to this so you can work.